Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So all the rage nowadays is people talking about carving up and fueling your ride. So people are saying 90 grams of carbs per hour at minimum, and a lot of people are doing something like 120 grams, and I've heard of people doing like 140, 150 grams. For me, I normally do 90 grams minimum, and then when I'm doing a harder effort, it's gonna be like 120 grams per hour. But there is one problem with that. So this Maurten pack is 80 grams of carbs, so it won't even last me an hour. And it costs $5, which is pretty hefty considering I'm training 15 to 16 hours a week. So doing the math, that's $75, I think, per week if I'm gonna be training just on Maurten, so not exactly feasible. So lately what I've been doing is white sugar. So I just take 100, 120 grams of white sugar and put that in the bottles. But there's an issue with it. It's not the most tasty thing, I guess, after 4 to 5 hours of slamming 100 grams of white sugar per hour. And also it doesn't really dissolve in the bottles like too well. I'll get like a bit of sludge at the bottom, if you know what I mean. So I've been searching for a nice healthy middle ground between the white sugar and Maurten, and I think I found something in this new product called Formula 369. So I was lucky enough that they actually sent me one package to try for free, but they were confident enough in their product that they also sent me 4 packs of Maurten to compare it against. So yeah, let's dig in and see what's the difference between the two. A good place to start our comparison is probably in the ingredients list. So on the left we have Maurten, on the right we have Formula 369. You can see that the first two ingredients are actually exactly the same. So they both use maltodextrin and fructose as your source of carbs. It should be noted that Maurten uses a slightly different ratio to Formula 369, so they use a 1 to 0.8 ratio, whereas to Formula 369 uses a 1 to 1 ratio. There's already plenty of videos on the internet about fructose-glucose ratios and what you should use, and they're made by much more qualified people than me, so I'm not going to bother going into those, but I encourage you to look them up. The next two ingredients in Maurten are pectin and sodium alginate. So these two are gelling agents which make Maurten a bit more viscous, and they're in theory what makes Maurten a bit easier on the stomach compared to other drink mixes. After that we have sodium chloride, both used by Maurten and Formula 369. This is just to replace the sodium that you lose through your sweat. It should be noted that Formula 369 does have around 3 times more sodium chloride than Maurten, so if you're a salty sweater, maybe this is a good option for you. And then the final ingredient in Maurten, which Formula 369 does not include, is sodium bicarb. So overall, the ingredients are very similar between the two products. The main difference being Maurten has these gelling agents, which in theory make it easier on your stomach. And they also have 2 different sources of sodium, whereas the Formula 369 just has the one source of sodium, although it has more sodium overall. So the ingredients list is similar, but where we start seeing differences is when it comes to the price. So Maurten is going to be $4.55 per 100 grams, that's in US dollars. And then the Formula 369, if you're buying the big pack of it, it's going to be just $1.90 per 100 grams, so less than half the price there. Okay, so let's make 2 bottles up, one of each drink mix, and see if we can actually tell a difference. So when you're making any of these high carb drink mixes, it's important to fill the bottle up a bit to start. Otherwise, if you don't do this, your drink mix will all be at the bottom, and then when you pour water into it, it will kind of solidify into a cement, and you'll have a bunch of drink mix just kind of stuck at the bottom of your bottle. And then because Formula 369 comes in these bulk packages, you actually have to use a kitchen scale to actually measure out the right amount. I prefer this, to be honest, because now I can actually get exactly how much I want. So on harder days, I can do 120 grams. And like I said, on the easier endurance days, when I'm only doing 90 grams of carbs, I can do 90 grams. This is kind of in contrast to Maurten, where the packages are already predefined, so you don't really have that flexibility. And then once I've scooped all of it in, I'll just fill up the rest of the bottle just to top it off and then give it a good shake. And then we just rinse and repeat, do the same procedure for the Maurten, and we're good to go. Let's see what's the difference between these 2 bottles. Okay, so it's actually the next day. Yesterday I did the back-to-back comparison between the 2 drinks. So I will say they both have a very neutral flavor. The one difference is the Formula 369, it is more salty, and you can definitely taste that. It's not off-putting, but there is a bit of a saltwater taste to it. But overall, it's better tasting than white sugar. And then today, I did a 5-hour ride all on Formula 369 pretty much.
just to see how it would perform over a long period of time. So my issue with white sugar is if I'm going like 3 hours or more, the taste really gets fatiguing. And with the Formula 369, I don't think it was fatiguing, not nearly as much as the sugar at least. And you can see what I've drank here. So I have 4 bottles. Each bottle had 120 grams. And then, okay, I did drink all 4. And then I had this one sugar flask with around 80 grams of carbs. And then in terms of how my stomach dealt with it, no stomach issues. How my legs dealt with it, I felt good. I felt how you should feel if you're properly carbing in endurance ride. I also did some hard efforts in there. So there was one pretty hard 20-minute effort, and then I finished off the 5 hours with a Zwift race, which featured 1 rep up Box Hill where we went pretty hard. And the fuel performed, so pretty happy with that. And then one other thing, the Formula 369, if you're looking at around 100 grams per hour, every 100 grams is going to cost you $1.90 in US dollars. And then when you're looking at the Maurten, every 100 grams is going to cost you $4.55 in US dollars. So pretty big difference, especially if you're doing like a 5-hour ride, 100 grams an hour. Maurten's going to be like $22.50, and then the Formula 369 is going to be just shy of $10. So yeah, pretty big difference. Anyways, I'm going to continue my cool down here, and I'll see you once I've showered and cleaned up a bit.
Okay, so in conclusion, when would I use all these different products? So for me, white sugar is still gonna be my kind of daily driver. So in the weekdays when I'm riding for 2 hours or less, I'm gonna be reaching for the white sugar because it's fine on these 2 hour or less rides. But then as soon as we hit 3 hours or more, I think having the Formula 369 is going to be nice because it's just a bit more palpable over 3 hours. So over a longer ride, you just don't get as much palate fatigue from the Formula 369. And then also, if you are a salty sweater, it's got more sodium than the Maurten does. So that could be something that you need. Personally, it's not something that's really a selling point for me. But yeah, if it's something for you, it's something for you. And then for the Maurten, I think the key advantage to this is it's in these kind of more convenient packs. So if you're lazy, it's easier to use. And then also, I do think it would be a bit easier on the stomach just because of the extra stuff they've added in. It's not really an issue for me because I have no stomach issues with the Formula 369, but if you do have a sensitive stomach, or if you're doing an activity like running where, running's a bit harder on the stomach, then maybe reaching for the Maurten would be something you would do. But at the end of the day, you have to test all of these things yourself to see what your stomach can and can't handle. Anyways, that's the end of today's video. Thanks for watching. Let me know how many grams of carbs are you doing during your ride. I want to see which subscriber of mine has the most grams of carbs per hour. I wonder if anybody's doing like something obscene, like 200 grams. Also, should we be going and apologizing to Durian Rider? Because everybody's on the carb hype train nowadays, and he's been banging on about white sugar for the past, 10 years or something. So food for thought, I guess. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.